In today's lecture, we're going to learn some basics about how to interact with Metasploit's meterpreter. So I already have a session here, and as you can see, it just says meterpreter. In Linux and everything, in every command line, the help command is always the best command you can run. So the first thing we're going to do a help. And as you can see, you get a big list of all the commands that you can run and a description of what each of these commands do. So I'm going to show you some basics right now. The first thing that I want to show you is the background command. So background will basically background the current session. So it won't terminate the session. It's very similar to minimizing a window. So when I run background, I'll go back to Metasploit, as you can see there, and I can run other Metasploit exploits to further exploit the target machine or just to exploit other machines while maintaining my connection to the computer that I just hacked. So to see a list of all the computers or the sessions that we have, we can just run sessions L to list the current sessions. And as you can see, we have a session here, meterpreter, so it's still there, we didn't lose it, and it's between our device and the target device, which is 206. Now, in order, if I want to get back into that session to interact with the meterpreter again, all I need to do is run sessions again, -i for interact, and then I'm going to put number 2, which is the ID of the session. And as you can see, I'm back in the meterpreter session. Another command that I want to show you is the sysinfo. And you see me run this every time I hack into a system. And the reason for this command, it shows you information about the target computer. So it shows us the computer name right here. We can see the operating system of the target computer, and it's running Windows 10. We can see the architecture, so it's a 64-bit computer, so that if in the future, if we wanted to run some executables on that target, we know it's a 64-bit and we create 64-bit executables. We can see that the language is English, the work group that it's working on, and the user ID that's logged in. And we can see the version of meterpreter that's running on the target machine, and it's actually a 32-bit version of meterpreter. Another useful command for gathering information is ipconfig. Now ipconfig is very similar to the ipconfig that you get when you run on the Windows machine on the command prompt, and it'll show you all the interfaces that are connected to the target computer. We can see, for example, here interface 1, we can see the MAC address, we can see the IP address, and for example here, this is the interface that is connected to our network and the one that we got the connection from. So if the device is connected to multiple networks, you'll be able to see all the interfaces and how to interact with them. Another useful information gathering command that you can run is ps. Now ps will list all the processes that are running on the target computer. So these might be background processes or actual programs running in the foreground as Windows programs or GUIs. You can see each process here, the name of the process, and then you can see the ID or the PID in which it's running. An interesting process is the explorer.exe, and that's literally the graphical interface of Windows. And we can see that it's running on process ID 2116. Now, a very good idea once you hack into a system is to migrate the current process that you're running on, into a process that is safer than your current process. For example, the Explorer is the graphical interface of Windows, so it's always running as long as the person is using their device. So it's much safer than the process that you gained your access to the computer through. For example, if you gained your access through an executable or a program, you will lose your process as soon as the person closes that program. So a better way to do is to migrate to a process that is less likely to be closed or terminated. So what we're going to do, we're going to use a command called migrate to move our current session into a different process. And we're going to use the Explorer process because it's very safe. Put 2115. And there's no such process, obviously. So it should be 2116. And the migration is successful now. So the meterpreter at the moment is running from the explorer.exe. Now, if we go to the task manager on the target computer and run my system monitor, or resource monitor, sorry. Now, if we go on network and go into CP connections, you'll see that the connection here on port 8080 is coming from explorer.exe. So it's not coming from a malicious file. Our payload or backdoor is actually running through the Explorer. Now, if you see in Firefox or Chrome, you can migrate to that process, and especially that you're connecting through port 8080, or you can use 80, then it's gonna look even less suspicious, because that's 80 and 8080 are the ports used by web servers. So it's very natural or very normal to have a connection on port 80 or 8080.